What's up, guys? So, I'm gonna say something that I feel might be controversial. Not every movie made in the late 90s to early 2000s needs either a sequel or to be remade, live action. Some things were great because they were one shot. Just one movie that came, it made its mark, and it moved on. Some people loved it, other people didn't know about it. But some movies don't need to have a sequel 15, 16, 17 years later. I know we're in this season where every other movie is a sequel or remake of a movie that already exists, but that feels silly to me. I think we should just make new movies, tell new stories, get new writers. Let's be interesting, let's be different, let's be creative. Because when you go 15, 16, 17 years back in the past to try and unclose unhappily ever after a couple just so that you could have another movie, things get a little weird. Like, for instance, Enchanted. Giselle leaves the fairy tale world, comes to the real world, lives in the real world for a while and understands that it's not all peaches and cream, but that there are good parts within the bad parts, and decides, I don't want to go back to fairy tale world. I want to stay in the real world. Happily ever after the end. So tell me why, in the trailer for Enchanted 2, Giselle is tired of the real world. The real world is too hard, it's too difficult, it's too real, and there are no good things in any bad thing. It's all just bad things. And a fake fairy tale world, a world that's insubstantial, a world that she's lived before, and a world that she walked away from, suddenly all she wants and all she can think about. And this movie is like at least 5 years later. So you've been living here for 5 years. Bare minimum 5 years, because she has a whole baby. You've been living here for 5 years. And now, all of a sudden, you decide that you're sick of it and are going to upend the entire world because you are sick of it. And then also, it can just travel between the realms now. Like, Giselle had a dress shop in New York City that had clientele. And Robert, Brotherman, he was a lawyer. They were doing well, I would imagine. But then they decide to move into a house that needs repair that they haven't done yet. If we're just making new stories, then yeah, we could do whatever we want, which is what the writers seem to be doing. But we're not making new stories. We're taking old stories and damaging them irrevocably, and then we're passing it off as a new story or as a sequel. But it's its own thing. It's not at all connected to the original. Why not just make that movie? Make the movie that Enchanted was supposed to be, but don't use any of the Enchanted characters, because that doesn't make sense in their story. I could keep going, but I'm at 2:53 right now, so thank you for coming to my TED Talk.